Night begins to fall, and the student demonstrators who've invaded the Tories' London HQ are showing no signs of wanting to leave the premises. It began as a peaceful protest, up to 50,000 students, lecturers and supporters marching through central London in a show of anger against the coalition's higher education cuts. But the day quickly descended into violence. A minority of protesters smashed their way into the headquarters of the Conservative Party in Millbank. They caused widespread destruction and took the opportunity to spray slogans on the walls here in the heart of the political establishment. Police were quickly overwhelmed as fires were started, and some people who'd made it onto the roof of the building threw missiles at officers below. Police in riot gear eventually arrived, making little immediate impact on the situation. The latest reports suggest riot police have tried and failed to drive the crowd back from the building and clear the courtyard area. There will be question marks now over how well the Met Police planned for what they knew would be a major demonstration. Aaron Porter, the president of the National Union of Students, has condemned the violence.
Education should be free right throughout, from when you start till when you die.
Tuition fees, I would say they're not needed because, well, when our parents went to university, they didn't actually have to pay anything. So why do we have to now?
When I went to university, there were no tuition fees. My university education was a fantastic launch for me into my life. I don't see why the next generation should be paying fees where I had to pay none. And I think it's disgraceful that this government is imposing fees on the young generation, on people who don't even have the vote yet, to pay for the debt that's being created by my generation.
I think that if tuition fees went up to £9,000 a year, I for one wouldn't have gone to university, and I certainly wouldn't have been studying what I'm studying now, which is an art subject. I think that higher education is really important for the future of the UK. Economically, we're not going to get out of the recession and have more jobs and a better standing of living if there's no further education.
At the moment, we already pay stupid amounts and are in debt till we're 30, so it seems completely and utterly pointless for the fact that they're raising them, tripling them. In fact, when I don't see the honest to God point of it. And in the end, it's going to become purely down to people who can afford it and the incredibly intelligent. And that's not the way university is about opportunity.
Yeah, well, it was a crisis caused by the banking crisis. That was bailed out, and the general taxpayer has been made to pay. And even the poorest sectors are taxpayers, basically. Cuts on housing benefit, a whole range of welfare benefit. So it's outrageous.
Cameron is possibly the worst thing to happen to this country for many a good years since the years of Thatcher. Right? He has no idea of just how much it's going to implement, like, massive changes to the working classes and even the middle classes.
On Nick Clegg, I just have to say I don't understand how the leader of a political party that was against even introducing tuition fees can now stand in a coalition government which proposes to increase tuition fees threefold.
Well, I voted Lib Dem, and I feel like I've been lied to.
I think David Cameron is trying to play good cop to George Osborne's bad cop. He wants to look good, that's why he's paying for his own photographer on taxpayers' expense. I think both of them are not actually duplicitous. I think they're doing what they believe. The only thing they're lying about is that they're not ideologically driven. They are. This is entirely ideological.
I'm disappointed in Nick Clegg. Very disappointed.
David Cameron and Nick Clegg are both the children of bankers. They both have a privileged education. They can afford to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds education fees, but they're determined that there will not be a democratic education system in this country because it would impede bankers' power. That's what they stand for.
Well, I'm a bit disappointed in Nick Clegg because he was supposed to be opposed to all the cuts, and it just hasn't worked out that way. So, yeah, I feel a bit let down by him.
Well, they should cut into education. Well, just look at the defence budget. That's ridiculous.
They should start by cutting the defence budget. We make useless, murderous war on other people at immense cost, and we should start by cutting that, and then start by cutting banks, bankers' bonuses, and globalised banking fees. That will pay for the education system, the health service, pensions, decent society. Well, that's what the government is against.
War, they should cut, although defence is important.
I think they've cut down the government departments responsible for collecting tax that isn't collected. So if they actually went for tax which wasn't collected by big companies, I think that could more than cover the deficit that they're saying we have to claw back upon.
Yeah, apparently Vodafone went to pay
Vodafone. Well, that's not been proven.
£6 billion.
£6 billion. There you go.
They should start taxing people properly, especially the super rich and the non-doms. Trident is an obvious another target. There doesn't seem to be a reason that we need a nuclear deterrent when we're facing the likes of Al-Qaeda. And if we were to ever have to go to war with a big country like China, I can't imagine a nuke would be much use for us either.
So obviously we need to get rid of the debt, but does it need to be get rid of in just 4 years? Like, if you spread it out a bit longer, then smaller cuts can be made in all areas. The cuts in education are dramatically larger than cuts in other programs and other areas. So,
and if education funds money back into the society,
exactly.
Why would you cut something that will bring money and jobs? If you go after the mega tax evaders, like, I don't know, Vodafone, for instance, £6 billion tax evasion, that would be like, I don't know percentages, but that would be a mega percentage of the cuts would be totally futile.
Education cuts!